Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Newcastle Fans TV for a very, very special interview. Myself and Lee Lawler are here to speak to Newcastle United Women's official club photographer, Colin Lock. You are becoming more and more famous by the game now with all these pictures that you legendary status, and obviously we'll talk about the relationship that you have with the women's team and the club as a whole. But I think first things first, Colin. Welcome to for this interview. But where did it all start? Where did the love of photography and how did it all come about?
Well, my daughter played for Newcastle, and when she first went to Newcastle, Steve White, who was a local photographer, was taking all the photographs. But he moved on to like the bigger things, and Twitter, we just started a Twitter account, and we didn't have any photos. So I jumped in and went, I'll have a go. So I went out and bought a 55mm kit, turned up at Coach Lane, photographed the game, took it home, put it on the laptop, and like ants. And I went, oh, this is wrong. So basically from there, it was just better camera, better lens, better camera, better lens.
So you had no previous experience whatsoever? You just thrown in the deep end, off you go?
Just the need of the club, just to get the profile of Newcastle, because after Steve left, there was no photos.
It seems remarkable, Lee, just from speaking to Colin just there about the fact that there was no media coverage, and now you look at the media coverage for women's football in general now, it's huge. And obviously you've seen it firsthand and throughout the years. And can you remember the first time that you and Colin actually met in terms of watching the women's team, and how you obviously spoke to him and tried to get more information about what was going on at Newcastle?
I would say it's definitely more this season. I think Colin would agree on that. I was around where there was no investment. They were playing at Druid Park. So obviously this is probably a few years after you, Colin. I think Andy Innes was in charge.
Yeah.
So we were obviously just dipping our toes into the women's and getting them a little bit of coverage, and we're playing with the idea. We'll put it on a second channel. Would it get views? Would anyone be interested in it? We were just playing around with it, and that was when we started looking. And you know, the way the club badge, so you get frustrated because there's no money put involved, and we're starting doing videos on that, and it's like, how man put some money in it? And this is before the foundation took over the lasses, and it was like they had sponsors. You know, they had to pay for their own kit and everything. I mean, you'll remember that, Colin.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I've done the backpacks, I've done the...
Been down Tesco,
nights, usually Sainsbury's at Cowgate or somewhere like that.
And was it, with Courtney being in the side, was that your push and your momentum?
Yeah, I've basically followed my daughter. So she went to Newcastle, she was signed by Mel Ray when she was 16. And now, a year later, I was asked to join the committee. Basically, that's where I got involved, and next season will be my 14th season in Newcastle Women.
That is incredible, isn't it?
It is absolutely remarkable, Colin, and you've probably seen everything in those 14 years.
Oh, it's, I mean, I've got to say it from the start. I mean, they've been going since 1988, and there's lots and lots of people that's kept that going. When I was late on, before the foundation came in, it was costing 30,000 to run 2 teams, and all that had to be raised. You know, it's the people who kept it going, Rob Aiken, and then the legend himself, Phil Eden and Ann Eden. They sort of got out of a bit of trouble, and then Phil got diagnosed with cancer, and he lost his battle. And then Jimmy Anderson came in, and they kept the club going, and till the foundation took over. And it was great. For me, it was great when the foundation. It just changed everything.
Just before we talk about the foundation as well, because a lot of people say to us as a channel, God, you've put the miles in, you're up and doing the country, you know, God, you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning editing videos, Lee, and all this sort of stuff. But what people don't realise is that you're there, Colin. Like, you're there every home and away game. And it's not just that. You're pushing the development side as well when it doesn't clash with the first team. And then I seen it on Twitter just the other day that you were at some Durham under, was it 18s or something like that, county cup, or I don't know what it was, but
It
it
was
was like,
the under 16 girls Northern Counties final. It's
like you're everywhere.
Cleveland. Like, it's changed now because I go up and away with Newcastle. But what used to happen was I did all the Newcastle home games. If they were playing away, I went Durham, Sunderland, Middlesbrough, just anywhere. Just basically help the clubs out, give them some photos, Norton and Stockton, Sestria, I've helped them all. And that's basically when Newcastle's been playing away. But now, it's all about Newcastle home and away.
And you look at the fixtures next season with us being promoted, which we'll touch on later. There's a few extra miles to do, mind.
It's not so bad now. I'm on the bus.
Colin, where has this taken you in terms of yourself? Because I think everyone has a hobby. Everyone has hobbies, and they think, oh, I'd love to do this maybe full time, or I'd love to just keep going and keep going and keep going. But what makes you motivated? What keeps you going when it comes to doing this? Is it just the love of this particular hobby?
It's the love of it. Women's football for me. I saw your video last week about it being a community. It is. It's a brilliant community. Everybody's so nice. I can go anywhere in the northeast, and I'm welcomed. And the people are great. Especially the kids is great, and it just gives you the motivation. One of the biggest things is I take too many photographs.
Never enough.
Welcome to the editing world.
But for me, some people say I take too many photos, but for me, the way I work out is I want to try and get every girl. And if there's a sequence of photographs, I don't think I should be the one. If it's an action of 3 or 4 shots, they can pick the one. And that's my kind of thing. And so really I want to get everybody, like all the team. It's hard to get Grace in that now because I've got to be there for the goals and the celebrations. But my aim is to get every player.
So when you went before a game, what is your thinking? Do you look at the weather? Because, not many people are going to think like that. Because you know what our weather's like up here.
Yeah.
And then do you think, okay, I need some shade or I need to sit here? Obviously, when we played at Drew Park, I know you're in certain spots as well. Yeah. But does that change your thinking? I think, right, how am I going to get this shot of this action here?
Yeah, it's I need the sun behind us. Shooting in the sun.
What happens with the sun? Is in the way? Do you just get up and move?
Yeah, move round. If you see the Druid, I'm usually behind the top goal.
I've seen you fell over there as well.
No, that was the bottom goal. And second half, I'll probably be on the touchline, just past halfway.
And you mentioned the community as well. Obviously, the foundation then come in, and it did get a lot better, more professional. Mm-hmm. But I've noticed in particular this season, because I was like harping on with the rest of the lads, how lads, you'll enjoy it. Yeah. It's different, you're closer. So I've been badgering him, haven't I? I've been badgering him for a good couple of years. However, and now Johnny's got the hook and he's got the love for it as well. And now you mentioned the community, it is because when I go to the ground, everyone's got their own little story. I'll park up and then the first thing is you start recognising security guard. You see them every week. So they don't even, well, they do check. I'm not going to say that they don't check. That your media, and then you'll see you floating around. So then I'll come looking for you. It's these little niches that I go around, and you'll have your own. Do you have your own where you'll arrive at Kingston Park and then you'll do your hellos and what have you and think of, right, how's today going to go?
Yeah. Usually when I get to say Kingston Park, I try to get there early, get the players arriving. Then I'll be looking out for the early supporters. I'll get a few pictures of the warm-up. So and all these will be getting posted. And, look forward to meeting people like you. And as the crowd builds up, it's just basically getting photographs of the crowd. Because I've got a little fan club, so
you have.
They'll demand the photographs.
Before Johnny asks you a question as well, do you know people talk about you on the sideline? Not in a bad way, I'm not going to scare you. So
talk about me?
Talk about you on the sideline.
No.
So when obviously I'm moving around and I'm looking for obviously different camera angles myself, they'll go, oh, did it such and such, oh, did you see? They go, oh, I've missed it. And they'll all say, oh, we'll get it off Colin later when Colin uploads them. So they do actually talk about you.
Yeah.
When I was down at the development game in Solihull, one of the lasses missed a couple of the goals and they say, I'll get it off Colin later, I'll see them later. So it's funny because people do now rely on you now. Is that a bit of pressure that you feel like, or do you enjoy that?
I think I'd enjoy it if I knew it was happening. I tried to
You
keep
do
that
now.
out of my mind. I just try to keep going. I've never really thought. I mean, like you keep going as a legend. I can't relate to that.
I know, but without your photos,
yeah, but
there's no coverage.
But I've got to say that about all clubs, all club photographers, all clubs need the photographers. They're probably not as high profile as everybody else, but you need your photos for your media, for your posts, for the newspapers, for...
That goes to top to bottom, because look at Serena, she has to.
Serena's spot on. Like she's looked after me. I really, and she's top of the game.
Yeah, she certainly is. There is a couple of things I would like to ask you both, really, because I've spoken to Lee before, Colin, about what he wants from a game, because his role has probably changed in terms of how he interprets a video. So, for example, if Lee goes to an away game for the men's team, for example, is so different in terms of a creative mindset if he goes to an away game for the women's game, and he knows exactly what he wants. However, that does subtly change from time to time. I suppose for you, Colin, Lee kind of touched on it a little bit about how you maybe prepare for particular games in terms of the photography side of things. But is there one important aspect that you want from that in terms of pictures, in terms of profile of the game, in terms of X, Y, and Z? Is there one thing that you have to have from every single game?
I feel as though I've got to have probably action shot of the goals scored and celebrations. They're the main things. For the media, for the graphics at half time, full time, and I'm always looking for them. They're definitely the two main ones for me. I mean, I love team photographs, but doesn't always happen. Especially didn't happen at St James's Park. I was gutted, but high pressure games, it doesn't always happen.
It certainly is, and we'll talk about maybe the high pressure games about the women's team this year, because it has been one incredible season for Becky and her side. But just going back onto the bigger occasions, let's say, for example, at St James's Park, for example, how tricky is it to get the right shot at St James's Park? Because it's a lot different at Druid Park. No disrespect at Druid Park, but it is completely different. It's almost two different games, if you like.
Yeah, it's the shots themselves. The further away, you can't get as close. That's what I find. But the backgrounds is unreal. I mean, theatre for the ultimate photographs for sports photographers. St James's Park, getting a clear shot of the player in the background. That's magic. I was telling Lee down at Barnsley, it was all on one side. It was black and white all the way through. So basically, and the sun was behind it, so it worked out good because I was shooting at the crowd, so it looked good, even though 3/4 of the ground didn't have people in it. But it is. But you can get closer, a lot closer. I mean, I'm 4 foot from the line behind the goal. I mean, you couldn't do that at St James's Park.
I want to ask you, but do you know when you take your photos as well? Because you've got to have a creative mind as well, even if it's like what we do, video editing, presenting, etc. Photography, it's kind of parallel with each other. You ever look at your photo and think, not very good, them, you know? But then you're also thinking, Gans, the other on the flip side, I think, done well there.
You get good and bad. I mean, you look at your camera and it looks, wow, what a shot that is. I can't wait to get it, blow it down.
Is that the excitement? Is that the thrill of it?
And then you get on the laptop and it's just out.
See, I'm like that as well, because Johnny knows I twist. Oh, God. I've recorded a 30-minute video. I've got to edit that. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, but when I see it, then done, and then edit and looks more sharp and clean, it's like, it's not a masterpiece, but it's like, that was good, that.
Yeah. Is it, I'll give you an example. Barnsley, Katie's goal celebration. The first three shots were out of focus. And then it clicked in, and the rest were great. But it's good that I missed them first two.
I was just going to say, is that the perfectionist in you, Colin, with what you do now? Is it maybe you wouldn't have thought about this 14 years ago, but
no, I mean, I never thought I'd be in anything like this. When somebody comments and says, "Oh, that's really sharp," oh, that's a buzz. It's all about getting sharp photographs. You know, that's the one for me. If I get a good another example, Katie's goal against Barnsley at Road Park.
Yeah, the Drew Park, yeah.
I caught that one class.
And when you do capture them as well, and when you get the feedback, because no doubt the lasses rely on it.
Yeah.
The lasses rely on their moment as well, because you see them post them on the Instagram and everything like that. Do you look at that with a sense of pride?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, there was, going back to a photographer, there was Michael Walsh. He took a photograph of me showing Katie a goal. And a nice photograph.
And it's the memories that you're making as well.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's all about the memories for me. You might say it's sometimes put on, memories made, memories to make, because it's all about the memories, and then players have got memories. Photographs are free to take. It's you know, most of them. I mean, there was a big one come up. You might have seen it about the crowds.
Yeah.
Yesterday. I mean, when you say that's a boost for me. Oh, last week I got asked to send 4 photos of Becky to the club that were going on the Telegraph. I mean, that's massive, you know, boost for me. Or once I saw my photograph on signage and I'm name. Things like that are just...
I know I get it, because when we first started getting asked to go on Sky Sport and BT and radio and all that sort of stuff, you get, bloody hell, lads, you know what I mean? I'm getting on this. It's that lift, that all that hard work and the graft that you've done has been rewarded.
Yeah, I mean, don't get us wrong, it's not all about that for me. I mean, that competition I ended up in last year, I was just pushed into it. I got asked to go in it again this year, and I went, oh, come here. I mean, I had 2.5 million. It was actually put on the Newcastle website. Sorry, the Twitter account. The men's asking them to vote for us, and I still finished second. That was 2.5 million.
Just to see your name, like, because obviously the club, when they put it on the website, it's your name.
Oh yeah, I mean, gosh.
That must, I mean, your name's like on the club website.
If you take the last week in, I mean, I've had so many photos on the Newcastle website, and that's great for it. I'm really, really proud of that. I am.
Should be.
But I'm not one of these that takes compliments. I'm a typical British.
What does Courtney think of you still doing it now?
Courtney? Mm-hmm. Oh, she's over the moon. She knows why I'm doing it. I've got something to do. Keeps happy. As long as I'm moving about, it's when I sit down and she comes in and get up.
Get off your backside.
And I guess that's normal now, because it's again, you're relating to what we do. Me going out and make a video is normal for my family. It's like, they don't even, not so much that they don't care about it, it's just, it's part of my routine now. It's like they don't even ask half the time, because they know I'm just doing it anyway.
Right, that's me. If Newcastle's playing away, I'll just say to the wife, I'm away down to Barnsley, down to Leeds, or wherever. And, no problem. What time will you be back?
My Barnsley's only 2 hours, I'll be home soon.
I'm seeing that. We're at Leeds, it's only an hour and a half.
I think.
We're at Loughborough.
At Loughborough, yeah. I kind of want to come back to the relationship side of things, and particularly this season. And I want to kind of get your thoughts on the team right now, and both the first team and the development team for the women's side of things. And there was one picture in particular that stood out for me from obviously the game against Barnsley, and it was just with you and Charlotte.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a fantastic photo. I think you would have been proud of it yourself, Colin. But it just showed the emotion of the day. It showed. I can't think of the right word, but
do you know what it was, Johnny? It was the player acknowledging the photographer.
Yeah, it was.
Rather than you doing that. Yeah,
it was. It really was. Obviously Charlotte's been instrumental since she's been at the football club, and I just thought that picture kind of just summed up what you mean to every single one of those players, because I think you could have had that picture with any one of those players, and I think that's what it would have been. That's why, Lee will probably say it again, but that's why the girls really, really like what you do, and they really appreciate what you do, and that's why people probably call you a legend, and rightly so in my mind, and I know Lee will agree as well. Those are the little reasons why, because after a tough season like that, that photo, I love looking at that photo. I think it's a really, really nice picture. How do you feel when you see something like that?
It was a great photograph. Me and Charlotte go back years. We go back to when she was 10, 11. Do you want the story?
Go on.
My daughter was playing for Chester Athletic at the time. Me and my mate were running the side. And the two big sides was our side and Bolton. And she played for Bolton. But we had Kira Ramshaw, Courtney. We had like the best team. And Charlotte wanted to join. And she came. We got her and she joined. And there was a funny thing. You'll have heard her mum, Bernie.
Certainly.
I think we've all heard that. Love you, Bernie.
Stuck in my mind. The first game she played for us, her mum shouted on the pitch, "Charlotte, you're not the star of the team anymore. You're in the team of stars." You know, and I went, lovely. And they were a very special team. Anyway, we got to be 15. Kay Ramshaw went to Sunderland. So we phoned Newcastle up and said, boy, Mel Rea, can the trial? And 9 of them gone into Newcastle Centre of Excellence, 9 of the players. And we've sort of been together. We used to do tournaments together. Every week, we finished the season and we'd be in a tournament all over the country for the summer, and then it was just non-stop. And, you know, but Charlotte is special. She always has. I mean, when she played for us, she was a midfielder, central midfielder.
You can say that in a game, though, can't you?
It was Mel Rea who turned her into a centre-back, and she's a brilliant centre-back. She just controls the game. But she's a lovely person, a really nice girl, and the big thing on Sunday at Barnsley was we'd done it before. She was in the team that won promotion last time, and I was taking the photos.
Yeah, you put that photo out there. Was that back in
that was at the
Northern
mansion.
Rock? Is that the Northern Rock hit?
Is it the Mayor's Mansion?
I can't remember, but I'm sure you had the Northern Rock. That was that strip. It was going back 2009, 11, around about that time.
It was the Mayor's house in Newcastle somewhere, Gosforth Road or somewhere. That was 2011, 12, so 2012.
And when you obviously was stay on the relationship side of things as well, when you know you were preparing for a game and all that, and obviously you hear little things like a player rumor or a manager or whatever. But do you then know, because you have that relationship with a lot of the players, whether to take a photo from a distance because they're a little bit upset about, I don't know, a certain situation?
Yeah.
Does that ever enter your mind frame, or you just go, do you know what, I'm just going ahead and...
It's in my mind all the time. I don't want to put bad photographs on, and some players don't want them. They'll see it.
Do you also worry about being a photographer as well? Is that a player who might necessarily be performing or out of form, they're not in the team, and if you're putting photos up of them, they'll see that. Is that like a mental impact that you're thinking of that player as well?
I think about them all the time, but not that way. If they've had a bad game, I would just put the photos on. Mentally, I would think, I might cheer them up. But, that way. But I try. And if they've got a problem with the photograph, they just let us know and I'll take it down.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to make anybody feel uncomfortable.
I think that's the best way to approach it. I think obviously everybody will see something I think it's just your own mental being, so a mental self that you'll go, sometimes you don't like something. So even if you win the game, sometimes you may just go, no, I really don't like that.
I mean, you can look at where going in for the ball and where hands are. Certain times, you'd look at it and go, no, you could get some bad comments off that. And, I wouldn't post anything like that.
Sexist comments, yeah.
Sexist comment. I just.
Do you just to flip on the funny side and the positive side? Do you ever get anyone goes, "Oh, don't take it on that angle. Take it on the other angle."
Usually the coaches.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many coaches. Well, I do Mia. Mia's not right.
Really?
Oh, God.
Any name drops?
Oh, no.
We'll remain anonymous until maybe after we finish recording. Maybe tell us after. But no, and we may as well just talk about the management side of things. Obviously, you've seen so many different managers. Just a few. How does Becky compare to the rest?
She's great. I mean, you've got to remember she's basically been on 4 years. She's just getting better all the time. You just got to say it. Her commitment is mad. It's, you know, I'm just over the moon for her because the Newcastle get, there's outside pressure coming in, but she's handling it great. I think Lloyd's doing a great job. The staff are fantastic. I mean, we didn't have a physio till 4 years ago. So that'll tell you when the first time we really had a full-time physio was when the foundation took over. But now we have 3 physios and a doctor. It's like...
No, it is good. And again, it comes back to that community feel, because you'll know that yourself, like with the relationships that we're having. We've obviously gained massively the past seasons where we've seen a change in Becky as well. We know when she's upset off camera. And then we've seen it on the flip side as well, where she's hugging with. And that's because that's the relationship that's been developed between. It's pressure, but it's also like, you know, she's hugging me and Johnny off camera because she's delighted with like the pressure of the win and all that. And that's like the relationship that we've like, and the trust that we've got. And that's what you have with literally the girls, the management. They'll trust you, and the trust will be back as well.
What I try to do is not push myself on people. If they want to talk to us, I wouldn't put pressure on any of them. There's a lot of them I've known for years, like Becky, Melria from Sunderland. I feel as though I can approach them sometimes, but I look at them, see whether, and I go, no, maybe he's not. I'll catch them later. But it's just the way I am. I don't want to upset anybody. I just, you know, I'd hate to think that I did something wrong. So I try not to get myself in them situations.
Are you a fan as well when you're sitting there? Oh, well, come on, get a goal. You know, because we're like that. And we're like, you need a goal. How you need a goal? Oh, you should have put that one away. Oh, take the woodwork. Are you playing it in your mind, commentating?
It's massive, but the amazing thing is, like, if we get a big score, like we did at Bradford and that, I'll come off at the end and I'll go, so what was the final score?
Because there's that many.
There's that many. And it's not because of that. It's just I'm so, you know, I mean, I'm taking photos when they're in, like, the opposite box because I'm actually watching the game through my camera, and I've just got.
How many photos pre, during, and after are you taking?
I can take anything from 1 to 2,000.
And then you've got to narrow that down to.
Oh, I narrowed it down to about 500 or 600.
Should you do like a top 10 or a top 20 of the day? Because I know Serena's only just started to do that the last 12 months.
Right.
She does like a top 10 on her Instagram of her personal favourites. You should do something like that.
Maybe so. Just to learn and get into it. I mean, Serena's like worth looking at.
And do you know that relationship that you have? Are you building that relationship now with Serena because the club have taken?
Yeah, I mean, Serena get on great. Yeah, I mean, she's a lovely lass. She always hello. I mean, when we came back in the Mayfair, she was there and she come straight over and gives a hug. And you watch night the other night, again, come straight over, gives a hug. You know, and it makes you feel so good. Because I don't know if probably it's just me, but with them getting higher, it's. You start to worry. I mean, and I've already told Dan that, look, if you need to get better, get it, but just give us an accreditation. I still want to come.
Yeah.
You know.
There's some things that you can probably pick, because Serena's been in the game for X, Y, and Z, and there'll be some tips that she'll be getting off you, and vice versa.
I mean, the best tip I got off her was the changing rooms. The changing room celebration for us. I mean, when she did them and I started doing them, I love them.
Is that the bit where you've done all your photos and you got the goals, and then is that, I've got that to come? Do you know, like a little bit of adrenaline, a little bit of excitement to come?
It's got to be out. Oh, you mean after the game?
Yeah, so you've got, like, do you know how you go for the motions? Like I do, like video editing, presenting, I'll go for motions, but you know that's like maybe the final one.
Yeah.
where that's the big one, and that's
That's
the
the
little
big
bit of
one. That's
excitement.
what everybody's waiting for. Yeah.
And all the girls are relying on you for that memory.
Yeah.
Social media is relying on you as well.
Exactly.
And they've seen the girls win 3-0 or 2-1 or whatever.
It's just the final whistle goes, have the hug, and then all you can hear is, where's Colin, changing room, right? And then there's people talking.
We've experienced that. I've got to take the photo first, lads. We'll come back out.
Yeah. We've had to wait, but we were happy to wait because obviously the girls had won, and it's brilliant. But Lee's quite right. That picture is so important now. Like, I obviously when the men's team started doing that, and everyone was like, "Oh, love this, absolutely love this," and then you see it obviously doing it with the women's team as well. Can you remember one particular game, Colin, when you've done that, when you've seen them celebrate and you've seen that it's been like a big relief for them, or you maybe not a relief, but they've been so happy after a particular game, and then you've got that shot, and then they want to see it straight away.
The changing rooms, because if you don't take a changing room, they've lost.
I know.
The changing rooms are but I mean, at Barnsley after the final whistle.
We were devastated not to be there. I'm not going to lie, Colin.
But it was a photographer's dream. I mean, you don't know where to point it.
That killed us, didn't it?
It did, but I think what it did do is that it showed how much we actually
we've been invested in it. But also without your photos as well,
we wouldn't have known.
We wouldn't have known. Yes, I know a lot of people recorded videos because it was a big day. But it was still like we're on our phones and we're going to the match and what's the score, get in and all this. We're like that, and it's like because we've now took that on, is that we've got that emotional connection, and urge anybody who's dismissive of women's football and what have you, just go to one game and see it for yourself.
Down at Barnsley we had a bit of a problem with the Wi-Fi, and I was struggling to get photos uploaded, and we were actually back on the road before we could do it. And then I watched your video where you had ran out of the ground, I think just before kick-out. What was it?
Just after.
Just after.
And you had all my photos on them. I thought that was amazing. I didn't think they would have been there in time. But great man. But really appreciate what you do, because you're lifting the proof. You, Adam, you're really getting people interested. You've got a lot to do with the crowds that's getting there.
Yeah, I think that's important as well, because we play that role as well.
Yeah.
Because our video format is that, like, when I go to a game, I've got like little things. I need that shot, I need this shot, and you're probably thinking the same as well as being a photographer. I need a bit of the crowd. Jeff and Andy, who are alongside us, the media, I've got to get them involved as well. So little bits and bobs where, as you mentioned, obviously, as the girls get higher and higher, copyright's going to start coming in, and probably be for yourself as well, because you'll want to copyright your photos as you get professional. I'm sure you will. So we've got to then think of different ideas where I'll take the mick out of Johnny's handwriting, for example. I always do. It's like
it's actually unreal, Colin, but people just
it's part of the video and whatever suites we've got, or it's trying to make
Me.
yes, and you.
I always come looking for you. I came looking for him at St James's Park. I just said, Johnny, I've got to go and find Colin.
Yeah.
I said, I've got to go and find him because I needed you part of the experience of the day.
Yeah.
If I didn't have you in it, I'll feel a bit like, I didn't get Colin.
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't get Colin today. Because you're there, and everyone starts to like, you're like bread and butter. You're there all the time. And I've got it. So I go through that emotions, and because I want to bring the fan experience who isn't there. And even now saying to Johnny off camera, I was worried about like certain things like views on women's football. My views are fine, because we're trying to make it entertaining and light. And again, it comes down to the community, that the connection that you've got, and like yourself will say hello, and the staff at Kingston Park and the players, and even like the media, and it's like everyone knows each other. It's like
you're talking about Kingston Park. I mean, I remember walking into Kingston Park and some of the security went, "All right, Colin." Oh yeah. It's things like that. There was a funny one. The groundsman. I took a team photograph the last home game, and he says, "Can I have a copy of it?" And I went, "No problem." Gives you email, and or I print it off for you. So I don't know if he was very good on the internet, but he got the chairman's email, and I sent it to the chairman. I got a nice thank you off him, which mean a lot, great.
Because obviously the girls winning the league, some of them might not be with the club next season, they'll have that photo for life.
Oh,
And I'm pretty sure that one or two will be framed and put in like a computer room or even a living room, perhaps, if it means that much to them. And that's because, again, it comes down to that you're there taking that photo.
yeah, that's what it's all about for me. I've got to be honest. As long as they've got memories. I mean, I do grassroots as well. I do Sunderland RDC, and that's where Newcastle get all the players from.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's where the North East Sunderland get the players from. Hopefully in the future.
Didn't we pinch Daisy from there?
Daisy, my daughter, coached there. Well, there's Daisy, Kira,
Yeah.
Georgia Spragan, Sparky. So many. There was one. It was at Druid Park, and there was 7 of them standing there talking to us. And Lisa Bell come up and says, "Oh, these are the new players." I went, "I've been taking photographs of them for the last 4 years."
It's always like a silly question. Of course, I know who they are.
Yeah.
But can you talk a little bit about the team and how impressive have they been, rather, in the last maybe a couple of years in particular? Because they've obviously narrowly missed out last year to Liverpool Feds, and I think they pretty much done everything in their powers to get promoted last year, but it just wasn't enough. And this year, it couldn't have got any closer, and they managed to get over the line. Can you tell me how good this team are, and can you tell me that moment when that final whistle went in Barnsley, and what was your overriding emotion?
I think the team's absolutely brilliant. If you go back a couple of years, if we went a couple of goals down, that was it. But we've got a team now that'll fight and fight. 90 minutes, the pressing, it's unbelievable, and it's just getting better and better. I mean, I've looked at games the last couple of seasons, gets to half time, it's pretty level, but in your mind you're going, second half, we're gonna get these second half, because it's just super fit and they'll not stop. That's the main thing for me. Barnsley, when the final whistle went, it's like my stomach went back to normal. I mean, to be honest with you, the build-up was a couple of days.
Was it intense?
Oh, it was for me, especially.
And obviously, you see you go down on the bus now. The last, could you feel that
on the bus?
Yeah,
going down on the bus, the singing, the quizzes, it's so relaxed. You wouldn't believe it. I've never seen any. Used to get tense. No. These girls don't get tense.
I feel that as well when speaking to the coaches. We always try and ask what the team's going to be before it gets released, just so it kind of gives us a bit of a head start. And I remember the Durham game in particular. I think even the Leeds at home game, they were so relaxed. It was ridiculous. I thought, do they know what they're playing for here? They know what they're at stake for. And then they win the game, and it was like, yeah, well, we had a plan. We were going to stick to the plan, and that was what we were going to do and win the game, and they did. And that's just some mental strength, isn't it, Colin?
It is. I mean, the talk was, it's one game. Mm-hmm. Don't talk about the next game. Don't talk about the last game. Talk about the game you're playing. And it was like that all the way. I mean, like travelling down to Barnsley, it was so laid back. We stopped at Wetherby and just batting the chairs.
You took the photos at Wetherby as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
That's nice. Didn't stop, do you?
No. Just keep people interested. I mean, I started to tear them on the bus, but I don't do it anymore because the girls don't like it because they've just got up. And they're not.
I've got the makeup on, I've got the hair nice.
So I don't do it. But the hits, that photo, like 1 hour away, the hits that you used to get on Twitter was mad. Hundreds and hundreds.
It is.
But it's just showing the interest.
I'll ask you a few on the performances as well. Obviously, you watch the game, as you say, for the camera. What's been your favourite game so far in the past season? As a fan?
As a fan, I enjoyed the Leeds one.
At home or away?
Oh, yeah, because that was massive pressure. That was the start. That's when we knew we had to do it. And the way they played, so laid back, it was like, I loved every minute of the Leeds game.
When the Durham game, the one at Kingston Park on the freezing night, I've never seen Johnny agitated like that before. In a women's game, he's like, he's like, and he's like this, and he's living it through a fan. I'm like,
no, this is honest. I couldn't say them scoring.
I felt the same actually.
I was worried about Poppy one. I was thinking you got to watch out for
Oh,
Poppy.
she's a fantastic.
Daisy.
Yeah, I had her in a back pocket.
That was probably Daisy. She had something to do that night incident.
Yeah.
And mind you, Poppy, she's something special. Like, and she always has been. She's one of
Yeah, she'll go far in the game. I've said that loads. Off camera to you as well, haven't I?
Even as a kid, she was 2-footed. Nobody could get near her.
There's been so many players that have been outstanding this season.
Oh,
Can you single one out as a player of the season?
I've got another. A lot of them's going for the young ones, but I think it's got to be Potty for me. The way she's come in and looked after herself and looked after the team has been outstanding.
Just clipping this up right now as we're speaking. It's on her Instagram. You know that, don't you?
Like, thing is, she played for Sunderland. She did exactly the same. You know.
The thing is with Potty as well, Colin, you can see she's playing at a high level.
Oh, definitely.
It stands out like a sore thumb.
Nothing gets to her. She just got players on her and she just dummies them. But I think she's probably been my player of the season.
How high can Newcastle United Women's team go? Can they go to the very top? Because obviously that's what the owners want to do. They want to try and get us to the WSL with that. Can you see that? Can you envisage that one day?
I think they are going to go at the top. They've got to, with the following they've got. It's the aim of the club. The owners, they want to go all the way to the top, and the support's there. There's nothing.
I look at the attendances.
The attendances, I can't see anything to stop them, honestly. I mean, when you look at St James's and how popular it is, and we play Kingston Park, which holds 10,000 people, it makes you think. If we get into WS, in the
Championship,
get into the Super League, is Kingston Park going to be big enough?
it probably won't, because if you think if in the media and the national media, I'll start picking up. Sky have obviously got coverage.
Yeah.
Radio, it'll get bigger and bigger as we go up the leagues, and it's all positive things for Newcastle at the minute.
Yeah, one of the best things I saw was Katie's goal on Sky against Danik.
Yeah. 4-0.
And on Sky, going on about how big the crowd was. That was a proud moment.
Class.
Last couple of questions for you, Colin. The first one for me: do you think we'll ever see a women's game get held at St James's Park with a sellout crowd?
I think it'll happen eventually, 100%. The further we go up the leagues, we'll get a big. Well, it's just happened at Arsenal, so we might get Arsenal, and that'll fill the ground. Or Man City or Chelsea. Yeah, I honestly believe, as long as we do it the way we're doing it, because don't outprice it. Make sure it's affordable for a family. So, I mean, at the minute, I know the prices are going to go up, but one of the biggest things for me was £8 for a family. At St James's Park, that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that is massive. And it also makes the fans feel good. And, it feels as though they're thinking about the fans. And I love that. I love the way they just kept it going.
Yeah, I've got the last one for me is about, can we go and get double promotion? Is that too much of an ask? Because it's just one team goes up again, doesn't it?
We played Wolves in the FA Cup, and we got caught. They were just quicker than us, probably a little bit fitter than us at that time. We're just getting fitter and fitter and quicker and quicker. And I think we'll not have any trouble next year matching it.
Because you think the signings will come in and younger players are getting another year's experience.
It's a young side. Every year they're growing, they're getting stronger. I mean, Katie Barker, Casey Ellison.
Look at you take Potty out that back. Potty looks around her. She's got a 18-year-old to her left. Freya's 22?
Yeah.
And then you've got Daisy who's just turned 18. It's like...
But you've got to think of Olivia Watt.
Yeah.
And Packham.
Great defenders.
Injuries, yeah.
Olivia Watt is definitely a WSL player for me. She is outstanding, and it's coming back from injury. We've got strength all over.
I know, because if we look, I know going on, but that development side, some of the players that get put on that development side, it's like Your opposition must look at it and think,
One of the big things for me was when the foundation took over, that to drop the reserves because of the money. You know, it cost as much to run a reserve side as the first time. And it was a big mess. And when we met, we all got asked, have you got a question for Amanda the first time we met her at the academy? My question was, we need a reserve side back, and this is, we're going to get it sorted, and they did. And I think that is massive. That's been massive for Newcastle this season. You know, the injuries we've had, they've been playing a good standard of football coming back. You know, without the reserves, they had no games. And I think the reserves has been massive.
yeah, and congratulations to the reserves, the development side, cup double, only just losing out in the league, literally by a goal difference, and the first team obviously winning the league, flip reverse for the first team. But yeah, anything to add, Johnny?
I think I just want to say a big thank you to Colin, because I think on behalf of everybody who watches the women's games, and I'm sure the team have said their own thank yous at the award ceremonies or after the game against Barnsley, I think what you do is actually a really, really good job. I think, you know, I've certainly learned a lot today just speaking to you and just seeing how your mindset works going into each game or each particular occasion, and you can certainly see that you really, really care for this team and for this club, and that's what you want at a football club. You want people to care. You want people to actually enjoy the job and, you know, try and get the best out of this particular opportunity or particular job, that in your case as well, Con. So yeah, I just want to say a big thank you, and I'm sure you will go on leaps and bounds as well. I'm sure as the girls team rises, hopefully through the divisions,
and they will be watching this.
Yeah, and hopefully they'll be in the WSL, and they go and we need Colin to be there in the change rooms after their first win in the WSL, because I think that will be something extraordinary, and I think something very, very special. But yeah, Colin, thank you so much for your time today. It's been really, really great to speak.
Thanks for the support you're giving us as well. It's great. I just love watching the videos every day.
The first one, eh? The first one that says it with
to be fair, Becky said it was a few times, hasn't she?
Yeah,
Becky does enjoy videos as well, so thank you for that. Colin, thank you for coming on, popping in the city centre. Look, we echo what Colin says. We've been pushing the women's, me and Johnny, this season. Get yourselves along when the season starts and pre-season, because the girls are up in the division, and if you want to see goals on a Sunday, that's a place to be.
It certainly is. Big thanks to Colin once again, and from me and Lee. We'll see you all very soon.